welcome everybody. I'm going to start this presentation about our PhD program. First, I think that what is important for our Politecnico to say is that our doctoral school is one of our key challenge for this rectoral mandate, because we are really pushing a lot the activity of our PhD studies toward a path that is a research path that is in deep connection with our research trajectory. Here I show you the speakers, so I will leave then the floor to Professor Eugenio Brusa, that is the director of the doctoral school, and then all the other colleagues that are with me in order to give you a general overview about our doctoral school and our doctoral programs. So just briefly, why it could be for you a unique experience to come here in Torino to follow our doctoral school. Well, we are in Italy, so for students that are foreign students, I think that this is the first important issue. You have the possibility to come in Italy. It is a wonderful country. And Torino, that is located in the northwest part, was the first capital of Italy, a place that is full of history. And our Politecnico di Torino is really in the heart of Torino, so in the very city center. And it is really part of the story of this important Italian city, because it is in somehow connected to some of the most interesting also sites and location in Torino itself. Our architectural school is located in the Valentino Castle, that was one of the residences of our Italian king. And I think that to experience the life in Torino is very interesting, because the quality of life is very high, and it is a university city, so it is really a place where you can deep your knowledge in studying engineering and architectural courses, but also, and it is very important, you can really enjoy to stay and to live our city. In general, we have two main headquarters. The historical one, that is the School of Architecture in the Valentino Castle, and then our School of Engineering, that is in our headquarters in the very city center. And in this School of Engineering, it is also located the PhD school. Then we have also other locations around the city, but mainly you will enjoy the real activity in our headquarters at the engineering school. And of course, we have also important international relationship. We are an international research university in connection with the main top level university around the world. And we have two Politecnico di Torino campuses, one in Uzbekistan and one in China. These are some campuses that are deeply in connection with our core activities. But what I would like to tell you directly is that, of course, to enjoy our PhD school means to start a PhD that is absolutely international. Our Politecnico di Torino has more or less 35,000 students between bachelor and master degree programs, and it is quite unique in Italy. Around 20% are international students, so you will be part of an international community. The PhD community is about 800 PhD candidates that create really a community that is a multidisciplinary community. This is one of our mantra, that is to create connection and networking among the PhD candidates, because of course it is important, the core vertical activity of your PhD courses and programs, but it's also important for us the cross-fertilization among the different programs and the different skills inside the PhD program and inside the different department and interdepartmental center of our Politecnico di Torino. I give you now very briefly some numbers about our position in terms of ranking. We are 31st in Faculty of Engineering and Technology, and 28 about subject in architecture and built environment. You will see all the numbers. To finalize my brief presentation, it is important for me to show you what are the connections between your PhD programs and our research areas. Mainly, we have four research areas: industrial engineering, physical, chemical, and mathematical science for engineers, information technology, and civil engineering. These are connected to 6 main research trajectories that are energy and water, digital revolution, advanced and additive manufacturing, mobility, urban transformation, and circular economy. So in somehow, your PhD activity will be part of a large research program where you will be really actors according to a vision of our university, where the PhD students are the first ambassadors of our research. So now I leave the floor to Professor Brusa, but consider that for us the PhD path is an important path to increase your education and your skills, but at the very same time is to give you all the tools and possibility to be part of our research activity.
Thank you. Welcome to the PhD school. So my presentation obviously will focus specifically on the PhD school. For us is, as Professor Corgnati told us, really community, not only a framework. So from the point of view of the organization, for sure, the Doctoral School is very important as a unit to harmonize the different PhD programs, but is also somehow the gateway between territory, the university, and the first step of the research activity. Generally speaking, we provide good problem solving, and also we start up some new specific research activities, typically starting from a PhD experience. So you are in the core of the research activity, the new activities and innovation. And from the point of view of the interaction with the other universities in terms of international connections with other academies and also with the territory and realities like companies and industry, this is a real gate, and we try to push quite a lot of these connections to have the possibility to make you working within a real exciting environment for the research and also for your education as young researchers. The organization of the doctoral school and generally speaking of our PhD programs is shown in this slide. Basically, you are simultaneously students in terms of education of young researcher, but also colleagues in terms of research. So we have a part of the activity which is directly focused on the research program, and this activity obviously is typically focused on the delivery of your thesis at the end of the 3 years of an activity within our school. We have also an educational path which is specifically designed for the PhD candidates. In particular, we have the so-called third-level courses, which are taught not only by professors inside our university, but even by professors coming from other universities as visiting professor or colleagues who are just attending for a short time period to give these kind of courses, and in both the direction of giving you an experience within the disciplines, technical disciplines of the School of Engineering and the School of Architecture, in the so-called skill, but even in the direction of having some typical and useful competencies and skills in the soft area. That means, for instance, understanding which are the tools for communicating your scientific results, or even to manage the time, the projects, the people, or even to have the possibility to spin off some activities and to start an entrepreneurship program. The research activities are performed inside our university, but due to the large amount of connection we have with other international partners, you are also allowed to spend a part of your time abroad for a maximum of 18 months, which correspond to 1/2 of the course of the doctorate year inside. About the training, you can see here some additional information. It is interesting to see that we are focusing on the training not only of the PhD candidates, but also of our supervisor. Even more than in the past, we have activities and actions to promote the updating education also in teaching, learning activities. We have specific laboratories, we have new innovation centers in which our supervisor can have all the suitable tools to reach the result to be effective in the competence translation to the people, to the PhD candidates, and also in terms of tools which can be used also remotely by our PhD candidates when they are living in another country for the period of abroad activity. In particular, we use movies, we have recorded short courses which are useful to perform this kind of educational path and following this career, even when you are outside our university. The excellence courses, as I told you, is the set of the courses presented, taught, and promoted by researchers coming from companies, other universities, and also scientists who are recognized in terms of, for instance, the ERC programs in Europe. As Professor Corgnati told us, basically we refer to the 4 research areas we have in our university, and the PhD programs are located within our departments. So you can see the main areas in which the departments are located, and there are many PhD programs which are directly interconnected between and among the different departments. There are many opportunities to perform a PhD which is really transversal, and also to meet other PhD candidates working together within a team for a specific project to share the competencies and the experience in your own activity. In terms of general information, the PhD program duration is 3 years. In Italy, we have this kind of theory, and the activity is part related to the learning activity and part to the research. generally speaking, the amount of hours which is required to reach the final goal of the degree is more or less 1/3 of the activity for the educational path. From this point of view, we are particularly proud to say that our salary scholarship is quite high. In particular, it was increased last year. And we have also a large amount of PhD candidates who received the scholarship, as you can see here. In part are also funded by external bodies and non-academic bodies, because we have a lot of companies and we have strong links to the so-called industrial doctorate, or at least a collaboration in which the industry is working together with the PhD candidate within the activity of the thesis and the daily activity which is performed. A larger part of PhD candidates nowadays comes from foreign countries, so there is really an international community, and we are proud of that. And also the number of the women is increased over the years. From this point of view, the interaction with companies is quite strong. There is a set of companies who are actually typical and regular partners of our university, but there are many companies, also small and medium enterprises, which are connected, and nowadays they are financing some PhD scholarship and related joint research progress. From the point of view of the activity performed outside our university and international connection, generally speaking, the links are towards all the countries in the world, not only in Europe, but basically also in Asia, in America, North and Southern America. So we have, generally speaking, a very good possibility to have this kind of cooperation, even from the country probably where we are coming from. What about the admission, which is the regular procedure to enter in this school? Actually, we have a selection at the beginning of the activity. So candidates are selected competitively. Generally speaking, we have two steps. The first one in which you present your titles, means basically your previous activity and careers. And there is also an oral interview to meet each other and to have the possibility to know what is your motivation in particular. There is no restriction in terms of age and nationality. You must have a Master of Science degree. It is required a certificate of knowledge of the English language, and for foreign students is required to have the General Test Certificate GRE. In this year, you will find a deadline to apply in the first section in February 2020 and the second one in May 2020 through the official part of the website, which is applied at Politecnico. So I leave now the floor to a coordinator of one of our PhD programs, because I think that it is interesting to have a direct experience of the program and related details.
Welcome to everyone. My name is Matteo Sonza. I'm the coordinator of the PhD program in Computer and Control Engineering. And I'm here to report a little bit the experience or my view of our PhD programs in the engineering area in particular. Well, before everything, let me say that for an engineer, and especially for an engineer doing research, Torino is a very interesting and attractive location, because in this area, this area is very rich in terms of industries, and in particular in terms of innovative industries. Remember that Torino is considered the industrial capital of Italy, and many Italian companies, industries were born here or in this area. Torino is still a very important location. For example, it hosts the headquarters or main research and design centers and plants of different companies in the automotive area, like Fiat, now FCA, in the aeronautic and space area with Alenia and Thales Alenia Space and Avio, and several other fields. So it's a rich area in terms of industries, both in terms of big industries and small and medium enterprises. This rich, let's say, environment is then reflected into our PhD programs. The previous speakers already mentioned the strict relationship existing between Politecnico and our PhD programs and companies from the area. I mentioned several, but also companies at the European and the international level. Polytechnic is very active with these companies, with different companies, and we have many relationships that we use also for projects, research projects, cooperation projects, where PhD students are often involved. And this, let's say, participation is crucial for their skills, for their training. On the other side, inside the Politecnico, there are top-level research groups in several different fields, and the combination of these links with companies and let's say, the daily life, say, immersed in research groups provide to PhD students with a lot of opportunities and challenges, so that their, let's say, period in Politecnico very normally represents an exciting and, let's say, very productive period. This is the reason why I can claim that our PhD programs provide our students with plenty of further opportunities after getting the degree, both in the academia, not only obviously in Italian university, but everywhere in the world, in research centers or in companies where they can be appreciated for the skills they gathered. I already mentioned the, let's say, stimulating and rich environment where they can live. The previous speakers already mentioned the international flavor of most of our PhD programs due to the high number of international students that we host and follow. I think it's important to provide some suggestions to you, if you are interested, as I hope, to our PhD programs. And in particular, I think that it is crucial for you to be in touch as soon as possible with us, with the colleagues who make research in the areas you are interested in. And from this point of view, what I suggest to you is to have a look and to browse, to explore our website, both the one of the Doctoral School, Scudo, and the single websites of the different PhD programs, because in many cases they offer an overview of the activities, of the research activities which are done inside the PhD programs, of the topics, research topics, where we actively look for new PhD students, because we have open positions that we'd like to fill. And once you have identified the person, the researcher, the faculty member who is the key person in the area, I strongly suggest you to contact him, to be in touch with him, so that he can guide you towards the PhD selection and enrollment. In many cases, we even had very successful experiences even before the PhD student, and these research experiences created the best floor for starting the following PhD activities. I hope I provided you with some useful information. We are open to questions in the last part of the webinar. And now I will leave the floor to Anna Maria, who is a PhD student enrolled in Politecnico.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Anna Ricchiardi, and I'm just started my second year of PhD in the program of Architecture, History and Project in Politecnico di Torino. The PhD programs in architecture aim to respond to the need of society for cultural heritage and man-made environment. This program provides students with a lot of opportunities in academia, in research centers, and also in institutions, museums, and foundations. I would like to talk about my experience in this first year here, and I would like to start saying something about my background. I was born and raised in Ecuador in South America, and I did a 5-year program in architecture there in Quito, the capital city of my country. After graduating, I worked for 2 years in academic field and in an architecture studio. And after these 2 years, I decided that it was a good time to move on with my studies. So I moved to Turin in 2016, and I pursued my Master of Science degree at Politecnico di Torino. I joined the Architecture, Construction, and City Master program here, and I got the chance to explore a different approach to architecture and urbanism. This program made me work in design units that included interventions in other countries. So this gave me a lot of opportunities to being exposed to new environments. This new reality motivated my development of the master thesis project. I did a research that explored urban morphology, city boundaries in Turin, and social phenomena in the city. And I graduated in 2018. After graduation, I realized that my interest for urban conditions in cities was not yet satisfied. So this desire to explore even further these topics motivated my candidacy for the PhD research program in Architecture, History and Project. I participated to both calls that year, the spring one and then the one in summer. And I won a position as a PhD candidate with full scholarship on the second try. So you need to try. I am now part of a research group. It's called Transitional Morphologies. This is a joint research unit between the departments of architecture in Southeast University in Nanjing, China, and in Politecnico di Torino. And this research unit wants to understand the strategies and methods used by human settlements to change and assemble spaces from one place to another place, from one period to another period, in order to understand these morphologies, their historical causes, and their design perspective. Being part of this PhD program and being part of this research unit has allowed me to explore topics that I am interested in. And as it is right now, I am working on a research project for my PhD thesis that involves a morphological study of informal settlements in the context of sub-Saharan Africa. When I was asked to give a testimonial about my experience here, I started to recall the experiences that I have been doing in this past year. And I realized that I've been doing a lot of really interesting things. In general, the courses I've taken part of in this first year were very interesting. I was part of the 4th edition of the program Innovation for Change. This was a program in collaboration with CERN in Geneva and Collège d'Engineers. I got the chance to present my research in Cyprus last summer in the International Conference of Urban Form. And I just came back this morning from a PhD mission of 10 days in Nanjing, China, where I presented my research group work to the Chinese part of our design and research unit. I'm not going to lie, I admit that this has been a very challenging year because working on research, supporting didactic activities, working on papers and conferences is challenging. But I do believe that the opportunity to be part of this program is helping me discover my full potential. I believe there are three main important key elements that make a PhD program successful. The first one is active mentorship and the participation in research units. The second one is financial support and research infrastructure. And the third one is the autonomy to develop research interests. And I have found all of them here in my experience this year. So even though I'm still struggling to have a good balance between life and work, I feel very proud to be part of this school, and I strongly encourage you to apply and start this journey too. I will leave you now with Professor Chiara, and she will talk to you about the specialization school.
So thank you very much. No, it was not correct. Where is it? Okay, perfect, thank you. So good evening, everybody. My name is Chiara Devoti, and let me introduce to you another opportunity, a sort of parallel opportunity, being part of the school, the PhD school, but something a little shorter than the normal course you can have at the PhD school, represented by the School of Specialization, an after master, of which I'm honored to be the director. The School of Specialization was established in 1989 to be really something different if compared with the PhD school. It is just 2 years, so a year less than the PhD course. And it has, in its 30 years of experience, the possibility to form a series of Master of Science and Master of Art, even scholars. The profile they define is different if compared with the one represented by the PhD school, because they challenge to be expert in history, in analysis, in restoration, but also in promotion and management of cultural and landscape heritage. This is given by a preeminent interdisciplinary approach and is forming people for which the title is, I will say, specifically tailored to be able to work in the complex world of management of monumental and cultural heritage. And we had, since the beginning, the possibility to form people working mainly with its own profile in the Bureau for Conservation and Restoration, sometimes working directly in yards, dealing with the cultural heritage. We normally use to accept both students for the School of Specialization applying with a profile arriving from architecture and civil engineering. But in the following years, we started having also other kind of profiles, a series of archaeologists, people expert in cultural heritage and restoration, a typical Italian title, but also people working in landscape and green areas design, and sometimes also some historian of art. The international students that have similar Master of Science or Master of Art can apply. They will be evaluated, and we are always proud to have some students coming from abroad. In our history, in fact, we had more than 300 people enrolled and then also led to have the final degree. And of them, just 32 or 33 coming from different countries, not from Italy, from the North and the South America, from Asia, mainly from Vietnam, but also from Europe. And they normally success and like stay with us. The course is organized in lessons, as usual, it's a school, but also characterized by a massive presence of seminars and conferences, sometimes organized also in cooperation with other schools in Italy or schools in Europe. We have what we call atelier, which is in fact a sort of workshop, a moment in which the scholars have the opportunity to make the experience of what they have learned directly in specific yards or in specific contests. It's an activity we think it's extremely relevant. It is a little different from what the PhD school is used to offer. And we also offer professional training. The professional training is really an experience making you the opportunity to work directly in bureaus, for example, the superintendents in Italy, but also in archives or even in professional studios to verify the quality of the knowledge you had during your courses. To help the students also to have the possibility, if they want, to work in parallel, the organization of the school is in 2 days of activity per week. At the end of each year, we have a final exam and also a final dissertation, again with a very interactive character. It is not only a dissertation, it is really a moment in which you try to express what you have learned. And we have each year extra activities represented by special visit and also study international travels. We are very proud to say that we organized in the last year a series of interesting travel in France, in Greece, to be in touch with some similar parallel school a little over the world. So if you want to enroll to the School of Specialization, there is an exam, an admission exam, which is normally in February, composed by a text and then a colloquium. You can apply from this year using the normal system apply of Polito. If you need more information about the school, please consider also our website. And don't hesitate to ask us, also sending an email if you want. Thank you.